Prime Minister Narendra Modi conducts aerial survey of cyclone-stricken areas of Gujarat and Diu, announces immediate relief package of 1,000 crore rupees, declares compensation of 2 lakh rupees for the next of kin of the dead and 50,000 for those injured in the affected states. Relief and rescue work in progress in Gujarat and Diu as a cyclone Tauktae weakens into a depression, and as Beas, Betwa and Teg join the search and rescue operations for barge P305, 188 personnel rescued so far. Health Ministry releases new advisory for COVID-19 vaccination, recommends vaccination for lactating mothers and vaccination 3 months after recovery from COVID-19 if infected after first dose, next dose to be taken after 3 months of recovery. National capital Delhi continues to register a sharp drop in new corona infections. 3,846 new positive cases recorded in the past 24 hours. Case positivity drops to 5.75%. In international news, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addresses foreign envoys, briefs about his country's stand on the recent conflict with Palestine, says action taken to counter Islamist terrorists who have gained territory adjoining their country. Hello and welcome. You're watching DD India and DD News with me, Munun Bhattacharya. Our top story: Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertook an aerial survey over parts of Gujarat and Diu to assess the situation in the wake of Cyclone Tauktae's aftermath. The central government is working closely with all the states affected by the cyclone. Prime Minister surveyed cyclone-affected areas in Una, Jafrabad and Mahua in Gujarat and Diu. Thereafter, he chaired a meeting in Ahmedabad to review the relief and rehabilitation measures being undertaken in Gujarat and Diu. He announced a financial assistance of 1,000 crore rupees for the immediate relief activities in Gujarat. An interministerial team will be deployed to visit the state to assess the extent of damage in the state, based on which further assistance will be granted. Prime Minister assured the people of the state that the union government would closely work with the state government at this difficult time, extend all possible assistance for restoration and rebuilding of the infrastructure in the affected areas. He announced an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees to the next of kin of the deceased and 50,000 rupees to those seriously injured in the cyclone in the states of Kerala, Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan and the union territories of Daman and Diu and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Prime Minister expressed his complete solidarity with all those who suffered due to the cyclone in different parts of India and expressed deep sorrow to the families who have lost their kin during the calamity. The Prime Minister said that the centre is working closely with the affected state governments in the wake of the situation post the cyclone. Immediate financial assistance for these states would also be given after the respective state governments would share their assessments with the centre. PM Modi stressed on continuing the focus on more scientific studies relating to disaster management. He called for enhancing intrastate coordination as well as using modern communication techniques to ensure quicker evacuation from affected areas. PM also called for immediate action to repair damaged houses and properties across affected areas. During his visit, he also took stock of the situation relating to the COVID pandemic. The state administration apprised the PM of the response measures being taken, and the PM stressed the need to ensure that preventive measures should also be taken. He was accompanied by Chief Minister Vijay Rupani and other officials during this visit to Gujarat. Meanwhile, teams of NDRF are carrying out road clearance and restoration work in Gujarat and Diu in the aftermath of the cyclone. Relief and restoration works are in progress in Gujarat and Diu as Cyclone Tauktae weakened into a depression. In a massive search and rescue operation, the Indian Navy has rescued a total of 184 personnel so far of Mumbai from barge P305. INS Kochi has meanwhile returned to the Mumbai harbour with rescuees.
These operations are currently still ongoing. We have a large number of naval units on site. Number of naval ships, aircraft are in the area, still conducting operations for search and rescue. My ship, of course, has just come back with a large number of people on board. About 184 people have been recovered from sea, of which 125 are on board my ship.
INS Teg, INS Betwa, INS Beas, P-8I aircraft and seeking hellos are meanwhile continuing with search and rescue operations. Offshore support vessels Samudra Sevak and SV Cheel are also connected to maneuver Sagar Bhushan. The 196 personnel on SS-3 and 101 personnel on Sagar Bhushan are safe. Offshore vessels hired by ONGC and SCI are towing them to safety. The Indian Coast Guard has said that a total of 73 people are still missing in the sea and search operations are ongoing to trace and rescue the crew members.
इस साइक्लोन के कारण जितना कुछ बुरा हो सकता था, 8,000 से ज़्यादा लोग बाहर थे. अभी सिर्फ हम लोग 73 लोगों को ढूंढ रहे हैं, वो भी सिर्फ ऑफशोर डेवलपमेंट एरिया में. बाकी सब जगह कोई एक रिपोर्टिंग में नहीं है और काफ़ी फोर्सेस लगे हुए हैं. हमें पूरी उम्मीद है, हौसला हमारा बुलंद है कि लोग जरूर मिल जाएंगे जो लाइफ जैकेट पहन के वहाँ पर हैं.
After causing widespread rain in Gujarat, the cyclone is expected to bring showers in many other states also, including Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Delhi due to its interaction with the western disturbance. IMD has predicted light to moderate rainfall at most places with heavy to very heavy falls at isolated places over East Rajasthan. The interaction of the remnant low-pressure system with a trough in westerlies associated with a western disturbance is very likely to cause light to moderate rainfall at most places with heavy to very heavy falls and extremely heavy falls at isolated places over Uttarakhand, heavy to very heavy rainfall at isolated places over Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi, West Uttar Pradesh and heavy rainfall at isolated places over Punjab, East Uttar Pradesh, North Madhya Pradesh and West Rajasthan during the next 18 hours. The government of Singapore has refuted claims of Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal terming a prevalent strain of COVID in Singapore as Singapore variant that is dangerous for children and asking the Indian government to suspend air services with Singapore. In a tweet, spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs Arindam Bagchi stated that the Indian High Commissioner in Singapore was called in by the Singapore government today to convey strong objection to Delhi CM's tweet. Bagchi tweeted, Singapore government called in a High Commissioner today to convey strong objection to Delhi CM's tweet on Singapore variant. High Commissioner clarified that Delhi CM had no competence to pronounce on COVID variants or civil aviation policy. The External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also tweeted that Singapore and India have been solid partners in the fight against COVID-19. In a tweet, he said that Singapore and India have been solid partners in the fight against COVID-19, appreciate Singapore's role as a logistics hub and oxygen supplier. Their gesture of deploying military aircraft to help us speaks of our exceptional relationship. Earlier, Foreign Minister of Singapore, Vivian Balakrishnan, tweeted on Delhi CM's remark that politicians should stick to facts. There is no Singapore variant. COVID-19 vaccination drive in the country is progressing at a fast pace. As per the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, over 18 crore 58 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far. On day 123, on 18th May, over 13 lakh 12,000 vaccine doses were administered. In the 18 to 44 years category, over 64 lakh beneficiaries received the first dose of the vaccine so far. Even as the Cyclone Tauktae hit several parts of Gujarat, the Indian Railways on Tuesday loaded 168.43 tons of liquid medical oxygen from Rajkot Division's Kanalus to Okhla in Delhi and 4 tankers to Guntur in Andhra Pradesh through 2 oxygen express trains. So far, Indian Railways has delivered more than 11,030 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen in more than 675 tankers to various states across the country. Oxygen expresses have been delivering nearly 800 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen each day for the last few days. Meanwhile, an IL-76 of the Indian Air Force landed at Bangkok to airlift 2 cryogenic oxygen containers. The loading, refueling and turnaround of the aircraft was completed in a short span of time, and the aircraft taxied out for departure from Bangkok. Delhi reported 3,846 COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, 235 people have died of the virus in the national capital in the same time. The positivity rate in Delhi stands at 5.78%. The number of fresh infections is low. It came from a relatively smaller number of tests, 66,573 conducted on Tuesday. This is the third day on the trot that the number of new cases has remained below 5,000. The COVID-19 situation has been improving in Delhi, with the number of cases and the positivity rate going down steadily in the past few days. The countrywide battle against COVID-19 continues unabated. In Orissa, the statewide lockdown has entered the second phase from today. The entire state is on lockdown since the 5th of this month, that will now continue till the 1st of June, with complete weekend shutdown in between. This phase of the lockdown has come up with more stringent curbs on the movement of people across the state. People can now avail only a 4-hour window to purchase essential items from 7 in the morning till 11 a.m. on all weekdays. Marriage functions will be restricted to a maximum of 25 persons, with funerals having a cap of 20 participants only. The Telangana government has also extended the lockdown to contain the spread of COVID-19 till the 30th of May. The state government announced a clampdown first on 12th May for 10 days, and it was to end on the 21st of May. Various other states are also fighting the pandemic with all the resources at their disposal, from extending lockdowns to preparing proper infrastructure for post-COVID care. They are leading from the front in this battle against COVID-19. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa announced COVID-19 relief package of 1,250 crore rupees. The Karnataka government said it will provide 3,000 rupees each for auto or taxi drivers and construction workers, 2,000 rupees for workers in the unorganized sector, and 10,000 rupees per hectare for floriculture farmers. The Chief Minister said that the government has been providing 10 kilograms of rice for each member of BPL family free of cost per month, and 5 kgs of rice for APL or above poverty line family members at 15 rupees per kilogram. The government has also extended the repayment of loans borrowed from agricultural cooperative banks for 3 months till 31st July 2021. The National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for COVID-19, or NEGVAC, has shared fresh recommendations regarding COVID-19 vaccination with the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. These recommendations have been based on the evolving situation of the coronavirus pandemic and emerging global scientific evidence and experience. The recommendations accepted by the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare include: for individuals having lab test proven SARS COVID-19 illness, COVID-19 vaccination is to be deferred by 3 months after recovery. For SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 patients who have been given monoclonal antibodies or convalescent plasma, COVID-19 vaccination is to be deferred by 3 months from the date of discharge from hospital. For individuals who have received at least the first dose and got COVID-19 infection before completion of the dosing schedule, the second dose should be deferred by 3 months after clinical recovery from COVID-19 illness. Those with any other serious general illness requiring hospitalization or ICU care should also wait for 4 to 8 weeks before getting the COVID-19 vaccine. A person can donate blood after 14 days of either receipt of COVID-19 vaccine or testing RT-PCR negative if suffering from COVID-19. COVID-19 vaccination is recommended for all lactating women, and there is no requirement for screening of the vaccine recipients by rapid antigen test prior to vaccination. Regarding the vaccination of pregnant women, the matter is under consideration, and further deliberation is on by the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan inspected the oxygen plant installed on the premises of Safdarjung Hospital in New Delhi. The oxygen plant has been recently made operational with the aid received from the PM CARES Fund. The Health Minister informed that another oxygen plant of 2 metric tons production capacity is also being developed at the hospital, which will become operational in the next 1 month. Talking to media about the COVID-19 situation and the use of steroids, the minister said no one should take steroids without doctor's prescription.
स्टेरॉइड्स के बारे में समाज में शायद एक गलत धारणा बन गई है कि स्टेरॉइड खाने से और तुरंत खाने से और जल्दी ही बीमारी में शुरुआत करने से उसकी हम जल्दी ठीक हो सकते हैं, बेहतर ठीक हो सकते हैं, ये एकदम गलत धारणा है। और स्टेरॉइड्स का इस्तेमाल किस समय करना, कब नहीं करना, इसको बिना किसी डॉक्टर की सलाह के हम कतई ना करें।
Union Health Minister also said that the government is trying to fulfill the requirements of essential medicines, including remdesivir. He said the process of providing 1,27,000 oxygen cylinders to states has already been initiated. Out of these, 30,000 cylinders will be reaching states by the 31st of this month.
रेमडेसिविर के बारे में, टोसिलीजुमाब के बारे में भी बहुत सारी पिछले समय में चर्चा रही है। इन दवाइयों को भी कब इस्तेमाल करना, कितनी मात्रा में इस्तेमाल करना, इसके बारे में बड़ी क्लियर गाइडलाइंस हैं और सरकार ने पूरा प्रयास करके जो इन दवाइयों की कमी थी इनका प्रोडक्शन रैंप अप करके और ये सुनिश्चित किया है कि अब ये दवाइयाँ सारे देश में सरकारी व्यवस्था से भी स्टेट्स को उपलब्ध कराई जा रही हैं। इस समय देश भर के अंदर जो है 10,000 साढ़े 10,000 मैट्रिक टन से ज़्यादा जो एलोकेशन है वो 26 हाई बर्डन स्टेट्स को ऑलरेडी किया गया है। अभी भी 1,27,000 और सिलेंडर्स हम लोगों ने उपलब्ध कराने के लिए सारी प्रक्रियाओं को ऑन किया है और उसमें से भी करीब 30,000 के करीब सिलेंडर्स जो है वो अभी 31 मई तक स्टेट्स के पास पहुंच जाएंगे।
Union Health Ministry has been providing advance information on availability of COVID vaccine doses to be supplied to states and UTs. It has written to states and union territories on allocation of COVID vaccine doses during May and during the first fortnight of June from the government channel, which is available free of cost. It also provided information about availability of vaccine doses that can be procured directly by states and private hospitals during May and June. This advanced visibility will enable better and more effective planning by states. A total of 5 crore 86 lakh and 29,000 doses are being provided free of cost by the centre to states from 1st of May to 15th June. In addition, a total of 4 crore 87 lakh and 55,000 doses will also be available till the end of June for direct procurement by states and union territories. The states and UTs have been advised to prepare a district-wise COVID vaccination centre-wise plan for administration of vaccines. Both state governments and private CVCs must publish the vaccination calendar on CoWIN digital platform in advance. They should desist from publishing single-day vaccination calendar. It must be ensured that there is no overcrowding at the CVCs and process of booking appointments on CoWIN is hassle-free. BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra in a press conference exposed the author of the toolkit allegedly being used by the Congress to spread rumours and misinformation about the pandemic and the Central Vista project. He disclosed Soumya Verma as its author and also shared her social media profiles. The profiles clearly reveal her connection with the Congress party. Patra said that rather than feeling ashamed of their acts, Congress filed an FIR against BJP President JP Nadda.
Rather than giving explanation, the Congress party plummeted the lowest, I would rather say the abysmal low in Indian politics by trying to file FIR against him. आप देख सकते हैं कि ये जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो ये पेपर का है जो टूल किट हम बता रहे हैं। ऑथर कौन है? सौम्या वर्मा नामक एक महिला है जिसका नाम डोमेन एक्सपर्ट ने खोज करके निकाला है। मैडम के फेसबुक प्रोफाइल, सोशल मीडिया प्रोफाइल इत्यादि में जा सकते हैं, जो मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूं। और उसमें स्पष्ट रूप से लिखा गया है कि सौम्या वर्मा जो है वो ऑफिस ऑफ प्रोफेसर एम.वी. राजीव गौड़ा मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट उनसे वो कनेक्टेड है, अर्थात जो AICC रिसर्च विंग है जिसको कि हेड प्रोफेसर गौड़ा करते हैं उनके रिसर्च विंग के साथ वो कनेक्टेड है।
In international news, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today addressed foreign envoys and briefed about his country's stand on the recent conflict with Palestine. During his address, Netanyahu said Israel is up against a radical Islamist terror organization and is trying to degrade their terror capabilities.
We are faced with a radical Islamic terrorist organization that has a piece of territory right next to us. Some of you, many of you, are familiar with fighting such groups and formations and organizations elsewhere in the Middle East, and you know that once they have a territory, you need an enormous amount of power to degrade their capabilities and to degrade their will to fight. And some of this goes on for decades, as you well know, in other areas. So what we're trying to do is exactly that: degrade their capabilities, their terror capabilities, and degrade their will. We are trying to maximize the quiet and the period of calm that Israel can gain against this foe. There are only two ways that you can deal with them. You can either conquer them, and that's always an open possibility, or you can deter them. And we are engaged right now in forceful deterrence, but I have to say we don't rule out anything. We hope we can restore quiet.
The Israeli Prime Minister also asked the ambassadors of India and Thailand to send his personal condolences to the families of their citizens who were killed by Hamas rockets.
I also want to use this opportunity to ask the ambassadors of Thailand and India to send my personal condolences to the families of their citizens who were killed, murdered by Hamas rockets. 2 agricultural workers from Thailand, 1 Indian caregiver. And I think this is just one more manifestation of the fact that Hamas indiscriminately targets everyone.
A hate crimes bill to combat violence against Asian Americans in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives overwhelmingly and will now head to President Joe Biden for signing. The COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act was passed by a 364 to 62 vote. Biden backed the legislation, which will speed up reviews of COVID-related hate crimes against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, expand public awareness about the problem, and provide state and local governments with guidance on how to combat hate crimes. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said it was critical to send a unified message on the importance of strengthening the nation's defenses against anti-AAPI violence. And with that, I come to the close of this news bulletin. Do remember to keep your masks on whenever you venture out of your homes and even indoors if you have people around. Thanks for watching.